The shape of the front of the bottle needs to be slightly curved to give it a pleasing appearance, but also needs to be as close to flat as possible to enable for efficient use of packing and shipping space. Assuming the top plane is the bottom face of the bottle, I'll start by drawing an arc on the top plane. Giving it a radius of 6.3 inches and an overall width of 6 inches. The construction lines assist in making relations between the endpoints of the arc more intuitively visible. Also, the construction line from the center point of the arc to the arc itself provides a sketch point on the arc which acts as a midpoint and enables me to add a pierced sketch relation to the front spline of the layout sketch. Note that often a toolmaker will ask for draft at the parting line. With the arc going smoothly across the parting line, we're not providing for this draft. In some situations, this is perfectly acceptable, and in others, draft is required. You'll need to work closely with your toolmaker to determine what's best for a specific project. Next, I'll make a plane through the spout center line. I'll use the plane at angle from another plane option, using a 90-degree angle with the right plane as a reference, as well as the spout center line. On this new plane, I'll draw another arc, again using two construction lines to help manage the sketch relationships. One more plane is needed at the end of the spline. I'll create this plane using the normal to curve at point plane type, selecting the spline and the end point as references. With these three arcs and the front spline, I have the information I need to create a loft or boundary surface. Remember that the main differences between a loft and a boundary surface are that a boundary surface treats edge conditions for both directions equally, while a loft can only apply the curvature continuous condition to profiles, not to guide curves. Also, a loft can be a closed loop, where the last profile is the same as the first, and a boundary surface cannot. In this situation, there's no particular advantage in using either a loft or a boundary surface feature. Lofts will be used elsewhere in this example where boundary surfaces won't work, so here I'll use a boundary surface. Because I want to preserve the layout sketch as a reference and allow it to remain at the top of the feature manager, I'll open a new sketch on the right plane and use Convert Entities to copy the front spline into the new sketch. I'll rename this sketch Front Spline Copy. After doing this, you may want to hide the layout sketch to keep the display from becoming too confusing. To use the boundary surface, I'll select the 3 arcs with the Direction 1 selection box activated, and the Front Spline Copy sketch in Direction 2. Remember that if the curvature combs in the boundary surface get annoying, you can turn them off by expanding the display panel of the Boundary Surface Property Manager. When you do this, the curvature combs remain off every time you edit or create a boundary surface feature until you close and restart SOLIDWORKS. No special conditions or settings are required for this boundary surface, so I'll accept the default values for everything. You'll notice that because of the overdrawn spline, the surface extends past where it needs to go. I'll take care of this later by trimming the surface using the top plane.